they've said everything, so I'm going to be really quick. I just want to say, for those who didn't notice, Joe Rahaman's just joined us. Thank you so much for coming. And I had a speech, but I'm just going to ad-lib, so if I get distracted. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Do you know that's a story I don't remember? I suspect there's a good reason for that. So, what I wanted to do was start off by plagiarising Steve Bree. He was here in a brightly coloured shirt. So since he's taken over as our divisional director, or something like that, main man. So he's had a very singular approach to his communication with his emails that some of you here would have seen. ELUF. I had to Google it, bottom line up front. It's been marvellous. I've had a great time. Thank you very much. Probably want to be more, so I carry on. So recent weeks, months, whatever, I've been mulling over my career, my retirement, what it's all been about, and I'm not going to sort of go through the history of the unit because I think that's been covered a little bit, but I'll just tell you a little bit, very briefly, because some of you won't know, and I've had a few of the juniors, a lot of people saying to me, well, how long have you been doing this, and how long have you been here in Plymouth? So I did a little bit of number crunching, and I realised that the first time I went into an operating theatre was in 1986. 40 years ago, as a third-year medical student in Leeds.
Is that for your neck?
That was a bit later for the first time. And I have to say, thinking about it and looking back at it, I just loved what was going on in theatre. I'm sure that's where the seed was sown, which is why I've ended up doing what I've been doing. And from then, the training that I did, moving from Leeds through Nottingham, which was where I ended up with the neck the first time, down to Leicester, where Leicester was well known for training vascular surgeons. And there was a real sort of clique of people who did vascular surgery working for a guy called Professor Bell, which some surgeons here might remember. He was legendary, but I didn't really want to have anything to do with that. And I was very lucky that they had a really fantastic group of upper GI surgeons. Upper GI in the round, so liver, pancreatic, esophageal, gastric. I did the lot, and I did it till my fingers bled. And I really, really, really enjoyed it and got a lot from it, and decided that esophagogastric was what I wanted to do. And then I tried to find a job, and I was looking at lots of places, but nowhere really seemed to be quite right. And then I had a phone call from a really good friend of mine who happened to be working with Joe Rahaman. And he said, have you thought about working in Plymouth? And I said, no. He said, well, they're looking for somebody to do esophageal work. So I came down, met up with Joe, had a good chat. And back in the day, when you were looking for a job, there was a thing called trial by sherry. I had trial by draft bass in the Dolphin, after which I thought, there's something in this place, actually. It could work out, and the rest is history. So I moved down here 2003. So I've been doing this here now for 23 years, and so many things have changed, which Aaron and Grant have alluded to. So many things stay the same as well. It's still a fantastic place to work with an amazing group of people, and I include all of you here within that. I think the standout thing for me probably was the centralisation of cancer services, which as one of the confusions over the years has been that Joe Rahaman was my senior colleague for so long and a big influence. My wife is also called Jo. And there have been moments of confusion when I'm talking about going to the pub with Joe or talking to Joe. So, and I've completely forgotten what I was going to say there, but it was something very, very, very important. The centralisation of cancer services, as Jo, my wife, will know, caused me to lose an incredible amount of sleep. But I was so pleased with the outcome. and with what we've managed to do since then. And Grant was an integral part to that. Richard as well, where's Richard gone? Richard as well, coming down from Exeter, was just amazing, and the four of us really drove this forward to the position it's in now, which, as Grant and I think Aaron has said, it is one of the biggest, one of the best esophagogastric units in the country. And I think, well, I personally am very, very proud of that. So a lot of people, and even tonight as well, have been asking me, why are you going to retire then? And since I came back from my second little time off with my neck problem, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about retirement, what it means to me, why I'm doing it. So I've realised that certainly in recent months, people ask me two questions. The first question is more of a kind of surprised reaction when I mention that I'm retiring, and it's, but you're too young. You can't be retiring, you're too young. So don't worry, I'm going to be 60 on Monday. Possibly hard to believe, but it's genuinely true. So, and adding up all those numbers, 23 years here as a consultant, 37 years in the NHS. Do you know how much you get from the NHS as a voucher when you've done 37 years? £315. £7.95 for every year, I think. So I'm going to spend that wisely. 37 years in the NHS. So I think, as Amanda Nash, the press officer, said to me when I bumped into in the car park, she said, I think you've done your shift. So I'm happy with the you're too young to retire thing. But the other thing, and lots of people ask me, is what's your plan? What are you going to do? And to start off with, Richard and I spoke about this at some length recently, because I think he went through the same thing. What's your plan? What are you going to do? And there's this slight fear in people's eyes, I think, that they're sort of projecting themselves into that position of, what do I do when I retire? What can I possibly find to occupy my time? And for a while I thought, well, I've got to come up with something. I've got to have a definitive thing which is going to be me in retirement. But then I thought, no, I'm just going to go off and enjoy all the things that I want to do, but I find that work is getting in the way of. And I've been saying that for a little while, that I found work is getting in the way of life. Not because I don't enjoy the job, because I still do, but I want to go off and do some other things. So I evolved what I was chatting with Ollie in a bar in Glasgow about as my no plan, which I think is quite good. And I'm just going to go off and do all of those things, but nothing to do with surfing or bodyboarding. So I'm going to finish now, and I wanted to leave you with some words of wisdom. Before I sort of get to that, one of the things, as you get a bit more senior, you find colleagues will come and ask you for an opinion about things. And a few weeks ago, one of my newer colleagues, with a slightly serious expression on his face, sort of leant over to me and said, Tim, he said, can I ask you something? And I thought, okay, it's either a difficult case that he's got on the list tomorrow, or he wants to have some hints and tips about how to negotiate the first couple of years of being a consultant. Tim, he said, when you retire, can I have your theatre locker? And then I knew it was time to go. But the words I want to leave you with were shared with me when I was a surgical SHO in Nottingham by an American registrar, who, strangely enough for Americans, no problem with any Americans here. He actually had quite a good sense of humour. And he had quite a few good sayings, and as a lot of you know, I like a good saying. And his saying, which was trying to help me prepare for emergency surgery, I found it very helpful for some elective cases as well, and also in life generally. So these are my final words from this guy, Eric, the American surgeon: always plan your escape.
Thank you so much, Tim and Grant. Just, if I could just have a couple of minutes from the band.